to chair those meetings.
It's a possibility.
I have no issues with that.
We have a motion and a second. Do we hear any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I am frustrated at putting in a public official as a member of the public.
It's totally legal, and as Mr. Hayden just mentioned, I looked for someone who I felt could be a good participant. Potentially, if he does chair the meetings, I think that helps, because I get asked many questions about the TIF. I think it's best that I'm sitting as the member representing the city. And I also believe that his knowledge of TIF, all the years on the school board, and all his way he's spent a lot of time studying TIFs, I'm convinced he's a good representative for me to appoint. So it's my appointment. I checked with the legal counsel, and I checked with Mr. Narber both, and there's no exclusionary to have an elected official serve this capacity. So he's the name I'm bringing forward. So, any other discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella. Abstain. Okay, Meyer.
Aye.
Hope.
No.
Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Present.
Hart.
Yes.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Present.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Aye.
Motion carries, and as duly noted in here to anybody who is interested, it's at 6 o'clock this time in this room, and they're scheduled, Eric, about a half hour apart. So that's the next round of those TIF meetings, if somebody's in those TIFs or has some interest. This time I'd ask for a motion to amend page 10 of the minutes of the June 7, 2010 regular city council meeting minutes. First paragraph under ordinances to read Alderman Herker made a motion, seconded by Alderman Sillsby. There was a typo there.
So moved, Your Honor.
Motion by Alderman Hayden, do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Seibert. Any discussion? Yes.
Being that this occurred in 2010, what event question or what event caused us to go back and look at
I had an Alderman call me. Can you come? We're just correcting.
We have a motion and a second to duly note the correction. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Heisler.
Yes, Your Honor. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I'd like to make the following motions separately and vote on them separately. First motion, to approve the Charter Communication Cable Franchise Agreement. So moved, Your Honor.
Motion by Alderman Heisler, do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Kinsella. Do I hear discussion? Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask you, Mayor, what is your current position in relation to the contract that states that we have $8,000 in grant money, 10 cents per customer per month to basically provide a cable access channel to put the city council meetings, potentially city committee meetings, as well as post.
I'm not opposed to that. If you all want to take advantage of that, I have no problem. In fact, I've been working on, some other issues with cable charter that with another local institution here that might provide such that and other opportunities in the future. We have been without a contract with charter for many years, since before I was mayor. I think charter's willing. If you want to table this, if you want to pursue that, take advantage of that, I don't have issue with that. It's not that we're ignoring it. It's just it's never been pursued. And with everything else on our plate, you got to sometimes pick and choose how many projects at one time you have going. Like I said, that's an option. But the main thing is we're looking at here is locking in some of the, the pay, which we continue to get. They're changing, Jamie, they are changing. They're going to pay us more often than what they used to.
Correct, they're gonna pay quarterly instead of annually.
And so they used to only give us one check every March. Now they're going to start to pay us quarterly. The rate stays the same. And they moved their studio to Maryville, which was something we fought initially several years ago. We didn't want it to leave Belleville. But I mean, like I said, if you want to, if the council wants to pursue going after, I think we got to sit down with them and talk specifically if there's any other additional, how much it's going to cost to get the building here set up, or what, you know, what the other additional costs are. We just never went after it. I'm not opposed. If the majority of people want to have the meetings televised locally, it's not a problem with this mayor. I just never, you know, it was not a top priority, and there was nobody, except you, Alderman Hayden, the first person in a long, long time that's brought that issue up to me. So it's up to you. If you wish to table it tonight and go back and revisit that, we can call Paul Barra, who's the government liaison with Charter, and we can have that discussion. But it's up to you all, if that's Alderman Elmore?
Just to clarify, I thought Alderman Hayden said 8,000, it's 6,000. And also to notate, we didn't bring this up in the finance committee, I think it was, when we first saw this.
Right.
If you read on, it is contingent upon the city committing to match such grant. It is a match.
I'm not here to say that, and in the last couple of years, when we've been cutting budgets and looking at all kinds of things, it was never brought up to be an issue to take on another expense at the moment. Now, I do know there's another opportunity that might be unfolding here down the road, that might be another way to go about that. But, you know, I'm not at liberty to go into all the details there. Yeah, like I said, it's up to you.
But
If you
the contract does.
we're gonna have to expend some money if we wanna do it.
Right, but the contract, I don't know if we need table approving that.
Well, I don't know either, I'm asking you.
I'm just asking what's your position?
I've never brought it up anymore because, except for you tonight or just recently, no one's ever called my office, no one from the public's ever stood up here and said, I think we, yes ma'am?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't think it does need to be tabled. The agreement says that it's an option available. It doesn't.
That's the way I read it, but I'm just saying to the group here, I don't want anybody to think I'm pushing something down them. We've been trying to, Linda Fields and I went to meetings the first year I was mayor, numerous meetings with other cities to try to get this charter to the table to finish this contract. This has been going on for a long time. I'm okay with this tonight. The city attorneys looked at it, you know. Nothing's ever going to be exactly the way it was years ago, where they had a downtown office and where they had a studio, and business changes. It's all changed. But, you know, I think I agree with you, Jamie. I think just because we lock in the contract tonight doesn't mean we don't have the option to pursue it. But just rest assured, no one's brought forward or pushed the issue of trying to film the council meetings. You know, I'm sure there's going to be some cost to us. We have to get the facts and weigh that out during the budget. But, you know, there's a motion and a second to approve this right now, right?
Yes.
So if there's no...
Counselor Kinsella.
Yes, sir.
What was the item that caused the negotiations to take so long?
Well, there was a lot of things. And for the longest time, and I had to go back because there's a lot of cities, and we're one of the last ones now. They were going to change some of the rates originally. They were pulling out of you know, the area as far as having service centers and all that. And it got into, you know, it got into some long heated discussions for a long time. And finally, several of the cities went together, and we had legal representation for a while, and we had many discussions with them to get it back to where it is today. It's not bad, but it's just not quite the same as it was when we originally set out and engaged in a charter agreement, franchise agreement. It's slightly changed from years ago.
So what's the change?
We don't have a local downtown office. We don't have, Norm Greenberg doesn't have a studio. The studio now is in Maryville. Those are some of the specific changes. The rates have stayed, they've continued to pay us the same rate, 5%. So, you know, like I said, and that was what was key to us. If they, at one point early on, they were talking about cutting rates, but through several years of negotiations, and they never did.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think that finance director made an excellent point. We can still approve this and check into our options.
I think so. My point is,
Which community do you think is most reasonable to check into that and to get more information?
well, I think it's going to have to go to finance because I think there's going to be some expenses.
Okay, so can
And
the
there's-
council then request that finance put that on their agenda?
We can put it back and we can try to figure out what the outlay costs. We need to get Mr. Bear in here. If you all want to televise the council meetings, you know, I'm not jumping up and down against that. It's just that no one until now has really raised that question. Yes, sir.
Can I make a motion then, Your Honor, to
Well, let's get the
approve
first
contract,
motion.
but amend this and forward the aspect of pursuing the cable TV to the finance committee.
You can do that. As soon as we pass this motion, I will give my word that we'll send it back to finance and we'll pursue it. If that's what the majority, the number of you want. I mean, we can do it either way. I mean, we can
We'll
vote
find
one
out
motion
tonight
down
by the
and
motion to amend.
well, let's do the motion to approve the contract, and then I will either, or you can come back and then have a motion if you'd like. I'll allow you to send it back to committee to pursue the total actual cost of what it would cost us to cable, to televise our meetings. Okay?
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, I'm concerned that you were discouraging him from making an amendment, which is.
I don't care. I'm trying to do it just as expediently as we can here. So there's no big difference. You know, you want to do your amendment?
I would prefer to.
Okay, so we have amendment. Do we hear a second to his amendment? So now understand this, we have an amendment to the original motion of approving, accepting Charter's cable agreement. And the amendment is that we're going to additionally to accepting it, send it back to finance to investigate the cost and the total involvement to televise meetings. Is that correct?
Right, to see if we want to exercise our options.
So that is the amendment. We vote on amendment first. Roll call. Correct, Mr. Sprague?
Okay, this is the amendment. Okay. Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Aye. Holt. Aye. Anderson. Rudowitz.
No.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson. Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Amendment passes. We still need to vote down the original motion. We vote on the motion as amended. Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Aye. Holt.
Aye.
Anderson. Rudowitz.
No.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carries. Jamie, put it on finance next month's agenda, and let's get Rich Peppers to contact, he's our director of IT, and have him contact Paul Bear, our charter, and start to see what we can investigate, okay? Moving on to the next order of business.
I'd like to make a motion to approve closing the Library of Morris Trust Fund and checking account. So moved, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Alderman Heisler. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Meyer. Discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carries. Alderman Seibert?
One more.
There's
I'm
one
sorry,
more.
I'm sorry.
Third motion.
Yes.
To approve the budget amendments as recommended by the finance director.
Motion by Alderman Heisler. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Meyer. Do I hear discussions? Roll call on the budget amendment question.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carries. Alderman Seibert.
Yes, Your Honor, I have 5 motions. I'd like to read number 1 by itself, and 2, 3, and 4, 5 should be voted on as one objection.
We have, I have no objection. Anybody else? Proceed. You want them all separate?
Yes, please.
Well, then we'll do them all separate. So,
Number 1, project, McClintock Street Phase 1 and 2. Consider approval for Phase 1 preliminary engineering service agreement with Kaskasky Engineering Group LLC for Phase 1 and 2 construction in the amount of $196,706.98 MFT funds. So
Motion to approve for the Kaskasky Engineering.
well, we have a motion by Alderman Seibert. You're making it a second?
I make a second.
We have a second. Discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Hold it. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, up in Streets and
meeting, I would like to have this for on record, some of the things we talked about. Mr. Gregowitz said that there would be another variance that was brought up tonight. We asked about, instead of the 2-foot gutters, that we could have a 1-foot gutter if possible, but there would have to be more drainage. Then the next thing I had suggested was to make all of the variances made for the public so that they know we are trying to meet them halfway, and we will ask for the variances. I'm agreeing to the project, but I would just like to know, stated that I wish there would have been time for an RFQ on the project.
As I gave my word at the meeting, the public meeting, and it's been very clear to our engineering staff and Kaskaskia who was present, as soon as the project report is done, we will ask, and I will ask on behalf of the city, for a variance, as I gave my word to all the people who live in that neighborhood, to do everything in our power to not negatively impact the yards, and that we would get the most reduced amount of increase that IDOT would possibly mandate with the federal funds. And we're going to seek that. And I can't tell you more than that. We agree.
The one about the 1-foot gutters, we talked about that tonight, that we did not talk about Wednesday night at the meeting.
No, it was talked about that night. It was talked about as a possibility. We said, first of all, Kaskaskia has to do the project report. They got to finish all their surveying, correct, Jerry? They got to finish all their stuff to see if that's definitely a viable option to present. If in their calculations they come back and that 1-foot gutter doesn't quite pan out, that we're going to create a lake there because of drainage. So providing that everything that we talked about moves forward in the right direction, we are going to ask for the biggest variance we can get to keep everybody as happy as possible. Believe me, I would love to keep everybody smiling on this project and get it done and behind us and improve the road. Okay? So we're going to do that. If you want to include in your motion, is that what you're trying to, that we are going to go after a variance? So the two of you.
The people will know that we didn't just say we were going to do it.
So to Alderman Seibert and to Alderman Elmore, if I can, to simplify things, in your motion that came from Streets and Grades and in your second, do you accept the fact that additional to this motion of approving Kaskaskia, that at the conclusion of the project report as submitted to the state, that we will seek, the city of Belleville will seek the best possible variance to keep the road size reduced as close as possible to the way it is?
I would accept that.
Mr. Elmore?
Yes, sir.
So it's now will be included. We have a motion and we have a second with that in mind. Alderman Carpenter.
Mayor, has the city reached a conclusion if they're going to have concrete or asphalt on this?
I think we got to hear that we have not. That's part of the project, I think, yet. Part of the project and part of their investigation is going to be, we got a lot of reports from people at the meetings and from feedback that there's a lot of vibration in the homes. That means the subbase is pretty deteriorated. They may come back and recommend the concrete. When we were initially talking about this project with cost and what it's going to cost the motor fuel budget over the next 2 years, Mr. Gregowitz, I believe, and there he is, we tossed in asphalt as an option because it will be a little bit cheaper, we believe, right?
We have enough funding to do concrete.
Yeah, and so we're gonna have both options there to make that final decision. Does that answer that question? No.
No, sir, I just want to state, I am not against the project at all. I appreciate the city putting on the public meeting. That answered a lot of questions for me and for the residents. My objection to this is the awarding of this contract without going out for an RFQ. I believe it is the wrong thing to do, and that is why I'm doing it.
And I've explained in several meetings that we are not doing anything that this city has not done for many years. We are choosing a firm that is a female minority firm owned here in Belleville, highly qualified, has a staff of almost 40, I believe. It's a lot of depth. Pre-approved by IDOT, has a track record with the city of Belleville, particularly the public square with the streetscape, which was very cumbersome. dealing with a lot of different people, keeping a lot of personalities, and driveways, access, and all that open. Tim and his staff and I, and my staff, are very convinced that, and we rotate these things around, we showed you the chart, we shared with the Belleville News Democrat, that we have a wide spectrum of projects that have a lot of different engineering firms. And we believe this is the right person, the right firm to pick for this project. And we've done nothing that's not correct. We've checked with the attorney, and this has been the practice here for a long time, and the RFQ process would have taken a lot longer, and we went through all this. So your
Yes, sir,
comments
we
really
did, and I
don't.
think you should make the public aware that we have received payment for these funds in 2008 and 2009. There has been more than adequate time to go out for RFQs. In addition, there are plenty of other firms in Belleville that are equally qualified to do this work.
You have the right to vote against the project. Yes, sir.
Call for question.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. I'm sorry.
Again, I have no problem with the road project. And I have problems with the process. And I understand and I've listened to your side of the story. Not only, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, does the RFQ process create more fairness and a competitive means, especially if you follow the Brooks Act, which is the template for doing RFQs. And if you look at the Brooks Act, you can also see once you get down to the 1, 2, 3 that are qualified, you can actually even discuss potential funding and negotiations of money being spent. And as I said before, Your Honor, an RFQ process, just because we've always done it this way, doesn't mean it makes it right. An RFQ process gives everybody an equal competitive process to the program. It also, as I said before, forces staff to sit down and look at exactly what we want in the project. And as you stated the other night, which Alderman Schneider deserves a lot of credit for putting together the public forum to bring these people here and educate them as well as myself in regards to the issues. And I understand your point you made that night. We have grants and this grant and that grant. We're going for federal money of this size in nature. You know, we could have sat down back in 2008, 2009, invoked the aldermen of that ward in that process and worked together collectively as we move towards an RFQ process, brought it in, have not just the mayor and staff, but the aldermen on the committee, as well as the aldermen of the ones the project's involved in the selection process, instead of being a little selective as it appears to me. And that, although I think the road going through, and if we can get the waiver and appease the people is great, on the grounds, somewhere along the line, you have to start standing up for principles and the way the city's always done things, we need change. Thank you.
In my 3 years, neighborhood watch meetings, neighborhood meetings, the other meeting the other night, I have yet to hear any public outcry for a different engineering firm. This engineering firm has displayed extreme patience and public notification. And I'm not going to question IDOT's laws of saying they have to be pre-certified. So if IDOT says they have to be pre-certified, they are pre-certified, and the neighborhood wants it, call for the question.
We're calling for the vote. Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Poe. No. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
No.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
No.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
I'd like my comments to be made on record that I do want the project to go.
Is your vote a yes or aye for the project as per Harry Kaskasky, or you no?
No.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carries. Mr. Seibert, next.
Project, municipal estimate of maintenance for 2012-2013. This is consider approval of MFD request, MFD. So moved.
We have a motion by Alderman Seibert. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Martinson. Do I hear discussion? Roll. Yes, ma'am.
Would you please ask the city engineer to explain to the public briefly about why we had to take out
It's just budget. Real briefly, we cut the Orland chip out 2 years ago. We're gonna try our best to include some. As he's approaching this initial budget with IDOT so we can get going and go out for bid, IDOT, since I've been mayor, has cut the funding. I don't know, Jamie, has it been several times, right? Motor fuel funds have been cut, just like other pots of money have been cut. So you gotta have give and take, and we have to, we're committing, while we're getting 1.25 million for this McClintock project, we're committing a good chunk of motor fuel money, right, Tim? The next 2 years to make this project happen. As I explained many times, without this grant, the motor fuel fund could not pay for this entire project. We would have to not buy salt or anything else. So it's because the motor fuel has diminished, and for the next couple of years, we're going to be committing some dollars to make the improvements on McClintock. That's why. We have a motion and a second to approve the motor fuel budget. Discussion further? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carries. Alderman Seibert.
Project 17th Street Extension Phase 4. Consider approval of the low bidder Thames Construction, $1,794,405.28 for 17th Street Extension Phase 4.
Motion by Alderman Seibert. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Sillsby. Do I hear discussion? Comment I'll make in the contract, Tim, October 15th deadline. This is the final phase of 17th Street. This will open it all the way up out to the car dealerships, Belleville Crossing, and to Belleville West High School. Further discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Holt. Anderson. Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Aye.
Motion carries. Alderman Seibert.
Consider project is 17th Street Extension Phase 4. Consider approval of contracting William Brubaker as resident engineer for $36.50 per hour, general fund budget, part-time.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Seibert, second by Alderman Kinsella. Mr. Brubaker, as explained in committee meeting, has a long history of experience, long time with IDOT. He just recently finished, he did and brought under time and budget the Cleveland Avenue project and also the Dapper and Drive project. Those are just two big projects he recently did for us in the last 3 years or so. Most recently, one just a couple of weeks ago with Dapper and Drive finished it, both under time and under budget. So we have a motion and a second to approve his contract to take responsibility. We have to have someone there constantly on site when you're using these state funds. And with all the other projects we got going this next year, we need his services. Motion and a second, roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Holt. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby. Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider. Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carries. Alderman Seibert.
Yes, sir, this is for Illinois 158, Illinois 15 roundabout. Consider approval of cost agreement with Illinois Department of Transportation in the amount of $106,000. This will be submitted for the budget for 2012. TIF fund, you want to break down?
The breakdown's present. I think everybody's got it. It's a total of you want to give it, go ahead and read it.
The sidewalk, 8,000, multi-use bath and safety rail, 44,000. Existing lighting maintained by the city of Belleville, 40,000. Engineering fee, 14,000. So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
The only correction I want to have in there, IDOT did give us permission when we met with them that we could pay this over 2 budget years, right, Tim? So just if you would will you accept that it would be paid not all out of 2012, but it would be half out of 2012-13 and half out of 2013-14.
Yes, I said
And then it says, who made the second? Accept that. So we have that added in there as a slight change.
Was that Hart or Carpenter?
Carpenter. Okay? So we have a motion, we have a second, we have that slight adjustment as far as giving us, I asked the state for a little bit more time, so we didn't have to take all the TIP money out in one fiscal year. They agreed, and so that would be the motion. Discussion, roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Holt.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider. Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carries. Alderman Heisler.
Yes, Your Honor. On behalf of the Traffic Committee, I would like to make the following motion and have the proper ordinances drawn. First motion to amend traffic ordinance number 7549, changing it to 46 feet west of South 18th Street to 32 feet west of South 18th Street, and change 83 feet east of South 16th Street to 20 feet east of South 16th Street.
I'll second it, Your Honor.
We have motion by Alderman Heisler, coming from the Traffic Committee, second by Alderman Hayden. Discussion? All in favor of this motion, have the proper ordinance drawn, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to create a stop on Winchester Drive before intersecting with Mitchell Lane.
Motion by Alderman Heisler, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Musgrove, do I hear discussion? All in favor of this motion, have the proper ordinance, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Third motion to create a loading zone on North 2nd Street, west side, Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. from a point 63 feet north of curb line on West Main to a point 106 feet north of curb line on West Main. This is removing the last two parking meters to create a loading zone on the side of 201 West Main Street. So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Heisler, second by Alderman Meyer.
Just a quick question, Your Honor. This is the second, I guess in the last 2 months being on the traffic committee, this is the second request that we've got for a loading zone or pickup zone or, I'm starting to get concerned if more businesses want a similar function and eventually if that happens, what is our precedent, what is our rules?
The good news is we'll have an occupied building. The difficulty is, as you may or may not know, that particular building, like many downtown, is built right on the property line, and there's not 1 ounce of parking. Now, it happens to be the shop my wife is going to occupy, but we're not asking for anything different than Grimm and Gorley has or other businesses downtown. When you have absolutely no parking, you can't take funeral flowers and walk them down the street a block in the wind, put them in a vehicle.
Yeah, I have nothing.
Well, there's already been several comments here tonight about this.
You're taking it completely wrong. I have nothing.
I'm taking it the way it is.
No, you're not.
You're assuming wrong. Does this property have alley access?
Wait, hold it, he's got the floor.
I'm sorry, you're right.
No, the other one was, I'm trying to think, it was basically a drop-off spot for people to drop off, to go in and have their hair done, which, you know, that's great, but what if, it doesn't have to be filling an old building with somebody new. What if the existing vendors down there say, you know, I want the same type of thing so people can have a drop-off, you know, to easily access any of the stores down there. That is all the point I'm trying to make.
And I think
Once we start a system of granting, what is our rules, what is our criteria? Eventually, every business down there could ask for the same thing, and we have no.
And I think it's our obligation to look at it on a case-by-case basis. The situation creating the loading zone in front of Huron, Maine, you had the fire. We maintained keeping those ladies in town with their customers instead of moving to Swansea, which they were planning to go. And all they asked for eventually was a loading zone so the little old ladies with their walkers and wheelchairs and canes could get relatively close to the building when they were dropped off. And that was done on a case-by-case basis. I think we have to make judgments on a case-by-case basis, and they keep a lot of people downtown who then go to the bread company or go to Ben Franklin or other places. It sure beats empty buildings. So I mean, I don't think there's an absolute answer to the uniqueness of our parking challenges downtown. We have many, but I think we've got to continue to approach them one business at a time. These are nice problems though, because we're filling these doors. So we'll continue.
It seems inconsistent to be asking for a parking study, saying we need more parking, and then taking out individual slots. And do you understand that the public has the perception that it seems to be playing favoritism?
We've done this for years. This council, we're going back to when I sat out there visiting when Alderman Hayden was on the council. There was people requesting certain parking situations, and the council then looked at them on a case-by-case basis, as we do today. There's no, you know, because my mother goes to that hairdresser is not why they got a loading zone. Because a lot of elderly ladies go there, and they need help getting in the building, and it makes more sense to have one stall near handy. And you know, the merchant had the snow all shoveled off the other day, and it worked very well. That's just being good business. Yes, ma'am?
Like you mentioned, Your Honor, there's a parking lot directly across the street, 2 steps away, that you use. These parking is only being utilized during the day. Yeah, there's parking.
You know, in answer Mr. Hayden earlier about the other question at 201, the alley behind 201 West Main is a private alley. It's not, it does not, it belongs to the auto body shop. So we have no right to use that. So,
Your Honor, I never questioned,
well, you mentioned it.
I never questioned you using it as a loading zone or how you're loading or unloading. My question was, are we setting precedent to allow other requests? And if we get them on case-by-case basis, you know,
We're going to have to look at it on a
we're
case-by-case.
going to have a hard time denying others, is all I'm saying.
Any other questions? We have a motion to approve this loading zone. We have a second, correct?
Correct.
Roll call.
Oh, you want roll call?
Yes, I do.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt.
No.
Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Present.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have a motion, okay, that was the number 3 on the traffic.
It's F.
F. You going to read that one, Ian?
Motion to approve request from September 11 Memorial Walkway of Southern Illinois Committee to have HEF trucking transport the artifacts from the World Trade Center acquired from the Port Authority to the National Honor Guard Convention held this year at the Doubletree in Collinsville, Illinois, on Saturday, January 28, 2012, from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. to raise awareness and for fundraising purposes.
So move, Your Honor.
Motion by Alderman Martinson, second by Alderman Seibert. I just felt we needed to go ahead and get your blessing on this before I call for the vote. It's unique. I think it's great that Dazon's here tonight representing the Honor Guard and the convention coming up. But before we take a piece of city property now, I think there's a lot of benefit that we didn't want to transfer out of town without the council's endorsement.
Any fee by HEF trucking?
No fee. This is not going to cost the city. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We, yes ma'am, they're going to bring it back to you, right Dave? The next motion is a motion to approve video surveillance fire alarm proposals from Barcom Security for the library's main and west branches. And for our initial total cost of $16,161, paid from TIF 3, we are waiving the bidding process due to Barcom recently securing the citywide lowest bid for surveillance equipment. This came forward quickly because we discovered recently, Leander came to me, the new director of the library, that the fire alarm was broken in the library. So we had no alarm system, no detection system. We feel with our library, I didn't want to wait to the next committee meeting and drag this out. It is our building. And so we're moving this forward quickly because we want to get this fixed as soon as possible. So that's the case. So do I hear a motion to approve this? Motion by Alderman Silsby, do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Heisler. Is there any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I was under the impression that our ordinances do not require commercial buildings to have fire alarms. Why? I'm not objecting to it, I'm questioning.
We've had fire alarm in that building, chief, for some time, and certainly the fire department wants us to get it fixed.
The fire alarm has to be maintained.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people that go through that library. I don't know what the rough number is, but quite a few thousands a year.
Yeah, roughly 100,000 a year with both buildings.
Okay, so why the need for cameras?
We've been making those upgraded while we're there. We feel like this helps the staff keep an eye on things, protects the city's interest with many different issues that come up time to time. It's a public building, as you can tell, used a lot. And, you know, I think it's just, as you know, we just did it with the sanitation building, the street department building. We added some more at City Hall. We talked then, but because at the moment, we kind of tried to keep the first phase package, we felt that while they're there making these upgrades, as staff looked at it, there's some cost savings by going out and doing surveillance stuff at the same time, and we feel it needs to be done.
Okay, they just raised their levy in order to give their employees raises. Why is it that we're paying for this?
We've had this discussion.
Yeah.
They are some of the lowest paid employees in the city. Their levy has never been designed, I don't think it's true, with city offsets a number. This is our library. It's set up, I didn't do this setup years ago. It's been this way with this levy, probably before you were involved, right, correct? And that's a while. Yeah, so I can't give you all the details, but it's never been, the library has never been totally self-efficient, self-sustaining by just the levy. The city's always been proud to maintain the library as our library. They're our buildings. We own both buildings. It's a Carnegie library, and by accepting that money many years ago, this city agreed to keep up certain standards and maintenance. And, you know, it's been the, you know, you can once again oppose this, but it's been the policy of this city for a lot of years. We have, if you want to use the word subsidized, but we have supported and partnered with the Belleville Public Library, proud of the service for many years. Alderman Kinsella.
If I had it right, isn't the citizens who live in the city of Belleville, aren't they also the same ones who would pay any library tax? I mean, they're the same people.
Yeah, right.
If you have the library raise their tax, you're raising it on our people.
Oh, absolutely. It's our citizens. It's for the city limit members only. So you just, you know. Alderman Hayden.
Yeah, I've raised questions before, Mayor, on the expenditures of TIP, and when we get further down the road, the money on the quote-unquote beautification and stuff, I'm going to question, most probably vote no. I did support the emergency expenditure for the air conditioning when it was Outback, when it was 110 degrees, and in this case, I have no problem supporting this when it comes to public health and safety. I will support it.
Yes.
Is there monitoring equipment included in this, so that the individuals?
Yes. This will bring them, the surveillance equipment is the monitoring equipment that, well, they use our computers, right?
Yes, the cameras are viewed via an internet connection, so we'll be able to view them from any PC in the library.
Which is very similar to what the police department has on the cameras here around City Hall, and what the sanitation and the street department have now in their buildings.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Yes.
And I failed to mention, in my mind, we are, in this case, we are not waiving really the bidding requirements, because this project was, this is basically an extension of unit costs, so that is acceptable.
And we said waiving just to make it clear that we believe that we're being upfront, that we didn't go out for a special bid because we believe this is an extension of the recent bid too. Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Yes.
Further discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Myers. Aye. Holt. No. I'm sorry.
No.
Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Selsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
No.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're gonna fix the library's alarm system. Alderman Meyer.
Your Honor, on behalf of the Economic Development Annexation Committee, I'd like to make two motions, and I'll make it as a group, if there's no objection. First motion, to approve a development agreement with Ameren Illinois Company doing business as Ameren Illinois for the remodeling of the existing facility located at 1590 East State Route 15, with the city offering certain incentives. And my second motion is to approve a development agreement with Ameren Illinois Company doing business as Ameren Illinois for the remodeling of the existing facility located at 45 Sheffield Drive, with the city offering certain incentives. So moved.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Alderman Meyer, second by Alderman Seibert. I just want to note one thing. If you looked at your supplemental notes that was present here, that Alderman Kinsella so kindly helped staff put together each meeting, under 11H, there was a typo. Ameren will invest approximately $750,000 at the location that is the Sheffield Drive location. That $75,000 was not correct. It's $750,000 investment. Just zero. This is zero, that's all. So just so you know. So the other thing, part of this that was explained in economic development, ladies and gentlemen, Ameren, the Fisher Lumber Company site will be a training center, and there will be approximately 50 Ameren employees brought here from throughout the state every week for training for many, many years. And then they're looking at in the future possibly bringing the gas certification as well, which would be even more. So this will bring people to come into town to stay and to purchase meals, etc. So this is good, and it's good at Ameren. Overall, Ameren, between the two facilities, when it's all said and done and plays out over a period of a year or two, is that true, Aaron? A couple of years, there'll be 50 new jobs total to the Belleville area when it's all done. Is that about right? When it's all done down the road?
There would be some,
There's going to be some drawn, but then eventually they explained to me that there are going to be those filled at the West Boulevard. So in time, there's going to be new job creation. That's not going to happen the first, other than the initial 7 out there. It's not going to be, but there is going to be some new jobs filling in the office space that will become empty as they shift some people around, as Ray was explained by.
Yes, that's not necessarily part of the proposal justification
Right.
for these, but long-term, that's.
There was a question I
that's the
received
intent, yes,
earlier.
sir.
I received an earlier question about jobs earlier, and I wanted to clarify that best I can. It's not part of the motion. I wanted to give the explanation.
Yes, sir.
So we have a motion here to approve these two, and what we're abating is the sales tax on building materials. Everybody understand the motions? Motion for the two items from economic development. We have a motion by Alderman Meyer, we have a second by Alderman Seibert. Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Myers. Aye. Holt. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter. Hart.
Aye.
Selsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider. Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carries. Communications.
If there are no objections, I will read the two together.
Can we vote on them separately?
Then let's read them separately.
A, communications from Ionite Shrine Temple requesting permission to hold their circus parade on Friday, June 1, 2012, commencing at 7:30 p.m.
Move the request be granted, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Alderman Seibert, second by Alderman Meyer to approve the, and I was told when they called me this year that this is their 100th anniversary. So, I answered the question I was raised the other day. We have a motion second. Discussion.
I do have some discussion questions, Mr. Mayor, but my first question is, are you a member of this organization?
I am not.
Okay, you're not a shrink.
I am not. You have somebody that told you I was?
I thought I'd seen you in your home.
I've never been a Shriner. I don't have a Shriner. My wife's in the audience. Do I have a Shriner's hat in my closet?
I'm not calling you a liar.
Well, you've got all kinds of information here tonight.
My question though is, I believe it has been your opinion that we not charge for this parade.
We have never charged for this parade, and
No,
I,
we didn't used to charge for any parades.
no, and what we have done is we've started to pass on some of the charges to new events, and we've taken our time doing this, and nobody prior to me, no mayor, charged for anything, but because police services are expensive. Now, with the Shriners, they put this on. Their funds go to crippled children. It's been around. I am not prepared, unless this council directs me otherwise, to charge the Shriners for this parade, when this parade brings in probably 12 to 15,000 people on a Friday night in June, when businesses are not, it's not a high holiday time or something. It fills our restaurants, it fills some of our stores, it fills the convenience stores. There's a lot of activity and there's a lot of business that transposes on that weekend around here in Belleville with the Shrine Circus, etc. So, unless you all feel differently, I think sometimes some things with tradition, you know, just like I said about the Santa Claus parade, I can't send Santa Claus a bill. You know, I think there's a couple things, and that's also about a 70-year tradition almost. So I think those are things that we sometimes have to, now if you want to insist that the Shriners get sponsorships to cover our cost, I think you need to, my opinion is we would need to approve this year and start that dialogue for a year from now. Because they're getting close to, they want to, you know, this thing, time flies with these things. Personally, I think these are two well-known traditions in Belleville that have been around for 70, and now this one maybe 100 years, that have brought an awful lot of people and an awful lot of business to Belleville for a lot of years, and they do a lot of good. So, you know, that's just, you know.
But those same arguments apply to any parade about bringing in people and bringing in business.
Well, I think, as you know, when the St. Patrick's Parade evolved, just since I've been on this council or since I've been mayor, we made it clear after the first beginning that they would eventually have to, we gave them the first year or so. The first year was probably three or four vehicles, is all there was. We saw it grow. St. Patrick's Day, and we explained to them. It is a great holiday. I enjoy it. But there's a lot of establishments who do very well on St. Patrick's Day. The police have a much bigger role at the St. Patrick's Day parade throughout the whole day than we do the Shriners Parade. The last few hours it's over, and you know, I'm not saying nobody drinks at the Shriners Parade, but I'm saying St. Patrick's Day is kind of an all-day event. And so we've established some guidelines for new things. I think it's very hard to go back on a 100-year tradition when these guys are trying to keep members in these organizations, which I am not a member of, to help continue do things, good things for crippled children. So I think that's their whole purpose, Mr. I'm not trying to give it away, but you are a member, right, Alderman Cyber, am I correct? Okay. Alderman Hayden.
Are those guidelines you mentioned, Your Honor, in writing? You said we've established guidelines as far as who we're charging, not charging.
I think, I don't know if there's a policy written. We have gone through each of the events. Artemis Square, first year or two, we didn't charge them a dime. We started to tell all of them that because of the increased budget and problems, they had to all start to pay a little bit. And most of them are up now, Linda and Jamie, most of them are up to paying 80%, right? And we felt that was a fair amount. They pay 80%.
Then why can't we apply that same policy and start low with this parade?
Well, we've got a question to vote on the issue to approve the parade for this year.
I was just asking if we had.
There's nothing written that I know of. I mean, I can write down what we've all been doing, but I've made it very clear consistently what we have been doing since I've been mayor 7 years. We started to slowly, the big events, you know, this parade is 4 hours for the most part, right, Chief? About 4 hours overtime. Artemis Square is a 3-day weekend with cops needed there overnight to protect $1 million of art. It's a whole different ballgame.
I understand.
You know,
That's another reason why I've pushed, I've had conversations with the police chief and many others, and I think this is a perfect example of why we need to explore the need of bringing back some form of a auxiliary police force that would be able to assist with these functions at no cost to the city. And this is a prime example where this need would appraise itself to a valuable asset to the city.
I understand, but you understand why the auxiliary officers went away.
I understand why they went away, but I also understand there's a means to bring them back in a way that can be done.
Well, and the chief and I have had many conversations, and I think that comes about, but, you know, when the state training board changed some things, correct, chief? Our officers no longer felt that the time commitment that they could do, and they certainly, as part-time volunteers, didn't have the time to go to all the training.
Yeah, that is a choice that people make. I mean, auxiliaries are not absolutely ruled out to having it. What we have to have is they cannot be conservators of the peace, which we took that out by ordinance, so they're not that. We have to have people who are willing to devote time and energy to the program that won't be conservative of the peace. They will still be allowed to carry firearms after qualifications, but there's other restrictions placed on what they can and cannot do as in the past, and they have to be supervised by on-duty officers and some other things. There's an ability to do this. There's also an ability to look at civilian volunteers as well. So there's things on the books that me and the mayor's talked about.
But all those things take current officers to train and manage and oversee, and with the staffing concerns we have, the chief and I felt right now that our duty is to keep as many people on the street fighting crime, hands-on as we can. If we had the ability to hire a lot more police officers, you might be able to put an officer or two over such a program and try to develop it. But they've got a lot of programs right now, and our goal, in my opinion, and this mayor's opinion, is we want to have hands-on going after checking the sex offenders, checking the parolees, checking, Chief knows very much, I wholeheartedly support and endorse the all hands on deck and the various things we do when we have large numbers of officers out making a lot of good stops and looking for bad guys. And that's where we got to, devote our time and our overtime, because the overtime budget of the police department Jamie will tell you, it is the most outrageous of any, but I wouldn't dare want to cut one cop during the holiday season that we had out there patrolling the downtown and patrolling the shopping centers, etc. I believe we made good choices. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to request that the Police and Fire Committee be tasked to come up with written policies to cover these kind of situations. So that it's not.
I will write down, we will put in writing, share with you what we're currently doing. You've got to give me 30 days, but we'll get it to you.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I just would like to see it discussed in the committee.
So refresh me, please, Mrs. Fields. We have a motion and a second right now. And we're down to approving the Shriner Parade, right? Roll call.
Okay. Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby. Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider. Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carries. We're going to have a parade. Go ahead.
Communication from CASA of Southwestern Illinois requesting permission to hold a walk in Belleville on April 21, 2012, from 8 a.m. until 12 noon, utilizing the back. This says, I'm going to read what I've got. Okay. Utilizing the bike trail from the Swift Metrolink station to the Shield Street station, and the route will require barricades at various intersections.
Do I hear a motion to approve this request? Motion. Second, motion by Alderman Sillsby. Who is the second? Alderman Elmore. Second by Alderman Elmore. We have a question about this particular request. Hearing none, all in favor of the request from CASA signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Sillsby made the motion. Okay, we have that taken care of. Petitions, we have none. Resolutions, I'd ask for a motion to read by title only. Resolution 3079, 3080, 3081, and that's it. We have a motion to read by title only. We have a second. Can we read these as a group or do they want them individual?
Would you just clarify why there was an extra copy of 3080 on the table?
There was a correction.
There was a correction to the Girl Scout resolution.
Yeah, that was a typo.
That was a typo, okay?
Are we ready with all of them at one?
Proceed.
Resolution number 3079, the resolution amending the annual budget of the city of Belleville, Illinois for the fiscal year beginning on the first day of May 2011 and ending on the 30th day of April 2012. B, resolution number 38, the resolution authorizing the city of Belleville to request permission from IDOT to close Route 159 at the public square and at C Street on Saturday, March 3, 2012, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. for the Girl Scouts 100th anniversary parade, and a rain date is March 10, 2012. And resolution number 3081, a resolution authorizing the city of Belleville to request permission from IDOT to close Route 159 at the public square for the St. Patrick's Day Parade on Saturday, March 17, 2012, from 11 to
We've got a motion and a second to approve reading it by title only, which was just done. Did we actually vote on the reading by title only? Vote on it?
Yeah, you do.
We did? Okay. Motion by Alderman Selby to approve, second by Alderman Heisler. We're doing all three at the same time?
We've already done it.
Silsby and Heisler approved it. So I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Holt. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter. Hart.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert. Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore. Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carries on the resolutions. I'd ask for a motion to read by title only. Ordinance number 75, 60, 61, 63, 64. Motion by Alderman Silsby, second by Alderman Heisler. Is there a problem if we read these as a group? Proceed. All in favor of a motion to read these by title only as a group, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Ordinance number 7560, a zoning ordinance regarding case 52, Karen and Larry Gravitt. Ordinance number 7561, zoning ordinance regarding case 53 by the Rojo Group. And ordinance number 7563, an ordinance amending chapter 38 sewers by amending portions of sections thereof. And ordinance number 7564, an ordinance granting a franchise to Charter Communications Entertainment, LLC, doing business as Charter Communications, Inc., its successors, and assign the right to erect, maintain, and operate a cable system in the city of Belleville, Illinois.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Alderman Silsby. Who is the second? Alderman Hart. Discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Holt. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter. Hart.
Aye.
Silsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore. Schneider. Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carried. Under unfinished business, we have two ordinances, ordinance number 7552 and ordinance 7553. I'd ask for a motion to read those two ordinances by title only as a group if possible. Motion by Alderman Silsby, second by Alderman, I'm sorry?
I'd like to separate them, yeah.
You what now?
I'd like to separate them, please.
Okay, we'll have a motion to read them by title only, ordinance 7552 and 7553. Do I have a second as Alderman Heisler? Silsby and Heisler move to read it by title only. All in favor of the motion to read by title only signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's read the first one.
Ordinance number 7552, an ordinance adopted pursuant to ILCS, and you can read those numbers 5/31/2010C.
I hear a motion to approve this. Motion by Alderman Silsby, second by Alderman Heisler. Discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I would just like it noted to the public, I I think there was a great deal of interest among the public in lowering the number of aldermen. And I think there's been some misunderstanding. We are very limited by state statutes of how many aldermen we can't just pick a number out of the hat. We're very limited. And I was quite satisfied at the meeting the other night that most of the aldermen were there, that it was discussed in some detail, and that this was decided that this was the best we could do at this time.
I think we all agree.
Yes.
We have a motion and we have a second to approve ordinance number 7552. There's no further discussion. Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Holt. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby. Hayden.
Well.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore. Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carries, and I guess I should have, you heard her make mention, but this is to keep the council at 16. This is the first step as we move forward now on pursuing the redistricting. That's the first part of the process. So that's been approved here, and we will move forward. Next ordinance.
Ordinance number 7553, an ordinance authorizing the city of Belleville of St. Clair County, Illinois, to borrow funds from the Water Pollution Control Board program.
I hear a motion. The motion by Alderman Martin, I hear a second by Alderman Heisler. Discussion about this ordinance. Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Holt. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter. Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore. Schneider. Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carried. We have a motor fuel claims
Wait a
amount.
minute, sir, before you leave unfinished business, can you let us know if the state has ever given us a ruling about the swimming pool?
We have not gotten a final ruling at this point.
Or even any idea of when they might come up?
There's two different issues. The one is a hearing that's set for late February, correct? And the other one, we have requested, we turned in documentation to make two specific requests. One deals with the grates and one some electrical concerns. We heard back on the one that they are not yet satisfied, and we've not heard on the other. So at this point, it's incomplete
It's up
what
to
we
the
have.
state,
We're waiting for the state from the Illinois Department of Public Health. We have,
Excuse me, but when are we gonna budget as if we are gonna be allowed?
it's something you'll have to determine the council as we move forward. We're gonna have to make a determination here relatively shortly down the road, because you'll never get staff. You can't wait till the last minute to open the pool. We are at their mercy. As we said, we have a very old pool. I have been, the entire time I've been mayor, 7 years, we continue to try to keep working on the pool, to keep that service open for our families, for those who really, really need such a, important service. We've run into some new challenges with the state of Illinois. We're fighting. Mr. Sprague has been leading the charge, but they are very slow to respond, and their slowness could really hinder us as we make the final decisions. Time is of essence. Okay, motor fuel claims in the amount of $17,449.76. What's your pleasure? Motion by Alderman Seibert, second by Alderman Heisler to pay the motor fuel claims. Discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer. Holt. Anderson. Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carries. Alderman Hayden, you have some specifics you want to.
Yes, sir, there you are. First, on the joint review board, have there been any minutes produced from TIPS 1?
Have they got a chance to-
2, tax?
Have they got a chance to go through that tape yet?
I don't know.
Emily, are you guys doing that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've gotten an office finish and going back through, making sure that everything's
Document. It was a long process, but the minutes were just being done last week, and hopefully we'll have copies available, so if that's what you want, you can contact Emily's office and they'll get a copy for you.
Can I ask that they provide me one as soon as they're done?
You just did. You just did, and they're nodding their head yes.
I wanted to ask in relation to TIFs in general and TIF joint review board down there. Are you still on record as supporting the elimination of TIF 1 and 2, as you stated that TIF joint review board meeting?
Well, TIF 1 and 2 run out, Eric, 2 years from now?
Close to that, yeah.
Yeah, within 2 years. And we agreed at the joint review board meeting that they had pretty much exceeded their planned goal. There's very little budget time left. There's not a whole lot of, there's a couple projects. I know we got some parking lot improvements we plan to do before those TIFs are disbanded, which makes sense. I think that discussion needs to be brought up this year, and personally, I'm in favor of seriously looking at bringing TIF 1 and 2 to a close, because the life is all but gone.
And Turner Hall.
And Turner Hall's in TIF 1.
Yes, it is, and it's also our building. And since we're talking about being consistent here, we're still paying bills in Meredith Home, which is clearly slated for demolition. We have not voted up to do that on Turner Hall. So why are we not giving that city building the same level of care that other city properties are receiving?
The big thing is the decision by this council because of money.
Okay, but the argument was made about Meredith Home keeping the power on to keep the,
It has an alarm system.
right, well, it was about the alarm system.
It has an alarm
because it is contiguous to other buildings, and should a fire start.
Right. We don't have an alarm system in the YMCA. There's none in there, to my knowledge. Chief? None in there. So we certainly wouldn't have went back into that building that was in poor shape and tried to create something. There wasn't existing in the Meredith Home, and the Badgley building, the lawyer, is very close proximity next door. We felt it was our duty to make sure that we maintain the fire alarm in the Meredith Home until the time comes that it would be demolished.
Okay. I just see an inconsistency in how we're treating one property over others.
Okay? Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor. I want to read a statement that I'm also asking to be entered into the record in minutes. Capstone Development, City of Belleville, stating the request, City Council meeting 1/17/12. Your Honor, I am concerned as it relates to the Capstone Development of Williamsburg Apartments on South Jackson Street. I do so with respect towards my fellow colleagues, Alderman Seibert, Alderman Martinson of Ward 6. The news story presented on KDVI Channel 2, St. Louis News, Council Exhibit A, has made this a public concern. As the city's chief executive officer and by oath of office, you have affirmed to uphold local, state, and federal law. It is my considered opinion that you have taken a direct interest in the Capstone development by your August 3rd, 2010, attached as Exhibit B, signed letter to the Illinois Housing Development Authority, IHDA. I hereby, at this time, respectfully request that you review this project in your role as mayor and report back to the entire city council regarding areas of concern as outlined and referred in the media report. 1. Concerns of interest and public safety, the well-being of the rights of residents, especially children that have lived there and or are currently living there while this development has been ongoing. As Chief Executive Officer, it can be argued that you have a duty and responsibility to ensure that no individuals have been denied rights of protection as guaranteed under the federal, state constitutions and supplemented by Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of '68, known as the Fair Housing Act, and Title 6 of the '64 Civil Rights Act. 2, I ask a review that the project has been administrated in complete code compliance with all applicable state, local, and federal laws, and again, to ensure the protection of the residents as described in the Public Health Act, which includes but is not limited to plumbing and heating systems that are working properly, windows and doors that fit and close properly and are secure, homes that are resistant of elements and moisture damage, homes that are free from infested pests that can transmit disease, floors and walls that are and surfaces that can be cleared and be kept clean. Page 2, safe means of egress in case of an emergency. safe indoor air. And 8, other aspects as applicable per the Health Unit Safe Housing Program and all applicable American with Disabilities ADA laws, federal and state laws. Third, I ask that you review all permits, fees, and other pertinent applications and plans that have been filed make sure they've been filed according to all applicable laws. All inspections have been performed according to all valid, relevant, and pertinent laws, guidelines, procedures, and due diligence demonstrated as it relates to inspection compliance and enforcement. I respectfully ask the city clerk to enter my comments in this notarized statement, which I will provide to you, Mayor, and the city clerk into the record. I want to openly state that the questions I raise are by no means accusatory or do not imply any wrongdoing by any person, agency, or entity. My concerns are for the public safety and protect the liability of good citizens of Belleville. I thank you, Mayor, the city council members, staff, citizens for your time, patience, and understanding, my concern, interest, and request. Respectfully, you may file. I look forward to timely responsive and written response, Mayor Eckert, and your request to respond to Board of Aldermen in total. Thank you. And I attach Exhibits A and B, and I will file these with the,
That's fine. Just let me say this, and I'm not going to say a whole lot. There's been conversation and threats of litigation, so I think it's very important that we don't get into a lengthy discussion. I'm not going to say a lot. I want to answer one thing. I know my duty as the Chief Executive Officer. And when Maureen Morris called me one night at almost midnight because she was concerned about a citizen, I was there. Well, but you called me, and you were there when I showed up on the street. That's a fact. And I was there immediately. And when the fire department got a call, I was in touch with them, and I followed up that same night when the one person had the issue with the porch. We were on top of it. I'm not shirking my duties. I have checked with Assistant City Attorney Mike Flynn on numerous occasions to make sure that we're following everything. Emily and Jenny Gain, the Director of Housing, the Director, our Manager of Economic Development, has continued to follow and guide and give me the answers. And Mr. Hayden, everything you asked for about this thing, you were given, correct? All the documentation, Emily, did you put together a complete? You got everything that we had?
I'm assuming.
Well, and Emily, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean.
Gave them everything we had. We didn't, there's nothing being hidden. I'm not gonna say any more, but I want the city to know. We're not hiding anything, and I'm not shirking my duties when any time there's been a question raised about somebody's safety. That is first and foremost with this mayor, and I'm not too big to even get out of bed or stop what I'm doing, even if it's midnight or 2 in the morning, and the 2 chiefs know it. If they have something they think I need to see, I'll be there. And I'll continue to do that. So but I don't want to, we're not going to get into much longer. There has been some talk about people getting attorneys, and I think until I talk further with Mr. Sprague, I would recommend that we go very careful about an open dialogue on this when the city, if there is going to be semi-final litigation, we need to follow those sensible practices of working through our attorneys. So that's what I'll say about your question there. That will be entered into the record. Any other comments about these miscellaneous items?
Does that mean you do not intend to provide a written response?
I will talk to the attorneys as to the advice of what they believe is best for me to respond. Okay? Hearing none, we're moving down now. I would like to ask for a motion to go into executive session. As duly stated, for the purpose of litigation, personnel, and property acquisition. Motion by Alderman Meyer, second by, we'll take a quick stop here if somebody needs one. Second by Alderman Consil. All in favor of going into executive session, signify by saying aye. I have 2 orders of business as the agenda states to continue. The first one I am asking, as on the agenda here, I'm asking for a motion to approve my appointment of Joseph R. Ludlow Jr. to the position of, where's that, Royce? Systems Coordinator, which is a management position at the wastewater treatment plant. Do I hear a motion?
So move, Your Honor.
Motion by Alderman Anderson, second by Alderman Oh, I'm sorry, Hayden. Okay, I thought you wanted to raise your hand. second by Alderman Hayden. Discussion. As we explained to the council, I explained, he's been an employee for about 7 years. He's showing constant signs of taking on more, wanting to know, learn more, and Royce and I and Randy firmly believe this is a good choice. This choice replaces Justin Brandeman, who left the plant in late September of 2011. Roll call vote.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt. Aye. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby.
Aye.
Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore. Schneider. Musgrove.
Aye.
Arlen.
Motion carries. This time we have the project on Frank Scott Parkway, the resurfacing and widening from West Main to Dapper, and then the resurfacing down to 161, has been in the planning session for several years, getting some money from IDOT. We've had Volkert out there securing the few easements and right-of-ways we needed, construction easements and right-of-way, so that this project could move forward. I'm asking for a motion to make the following payouts so that we can satisfy the necessary right-of-way and easements. Is that correct, Tim, the right way to put it? The first one, I'm sorry, well, let me read the motion, and you can, I'll call on you to acknowledge it. The first part of the motion would be to pay West Point Bank / Commerce Bank now. It was West Point originally when it's on the deed. $3,500 for the amount of right-of-way and construction easement needed from them. Lorick Enterprises, $5,000 plus to relocate the entrance across from Altoff's driveway. Oblate RE Trust for the oblates, and that's going to be a total of $23,081 for their right-of-way and construction easements, and then $1,000 to Poor Clare Sisters for their right-of-way and easements. The total, Gabby, was $32,581 to secure the necessary construction, acquisition of right-of-way and construction easements so that we can move forward on this very important project of adding a lane from West Main to Dapper and then resurfacing all of that. Do I hear a motion to approve those stated requests? Alderman Hart, do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Schneider. Discussion? Roll call.
Heisler.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Holt. Anderson.
Aye.
Rudowitz.
Aye.
Carpenter.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Sillsby. Hayden.
Aye.
Seibert. Martinson.
Aye.
Elmore. Schneider. Musgrove. Arlen.
Motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Meyer, second by Alderman Anderson. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.